All right, nothing like a little bit of live everything. So, John, hear you there. Sorry about 906 and or 907. Uh, might have a guest dropping in last minute at 9:30. So, all right, here's the deal. Until 9:30, we're going to do news of the day, and then at 9:30, we might have a guest dropping in. This much we know. 10 o'clock, we're going to have KCD join us. She's going to join us like she always does to start off hour number 2. And with Kacey, we'll talk about Open Cup and we will talk about the week that was in Major League Soccer and maybe a little bit of the weekend that will be. So we'll find out what's on Kacey's mind at 10 o'clock. Now, because of our probable guest hopping in at 9:30, then at 10:30 this morning, we're going to grab the interview that we have with Jacob Haygood, the head coach at Mary Persons, and that'll be at 10:30. Initially, it was at 9:30, but now with our possible surprise guest, it'll be Jacob Haygood, Mary Persons at 10:30. Since the GHSA playoffs start today, we'll go over what's on his mind. One thing one thing that kind of surprised me when I was doing my research on it was the fact that Mary Persons 17-1, and we have our rankings from our friends at Scoreboard, SCORBORD, and then I looked at it and I was like, okay, Mary Persons is having a really good year, and you look at it and you go 17-1. So Jacob Haygood, we caught up with him last night after practice and before dinner. And so we'll run that at 10:30. So we'll get you ready with news of the day, getting you ready for 9:30. Surprise guest coming at 9:30. 10 o'clock, Kacey White. 10:30, Jacob Haygood, the head coach on the boys' side at Mary Persons. And then we might go long like we always do. And we can't go too long because we've got Red Clay coming up at noon on the network. So the day kind of got a little busier. So morning, Abby. And so it will be it'll be interesting. So I think we're going to have our surprise guest at 9:30, and when the surprise guest shows up, then we'll let you know who it is. Like I said, until the technology works, then what we'll do is, like I said, we'll just talk news of the day and all those kinds of things, and we'll get you ready for all of the activity going on today across the board in a bunch of different ways. Now, all right, let's get into opening kickoff. And opening kickoff is brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And with our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. And opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And all right, so here's the deal. Now, I was debating a couple different things for opening kickoff today, and there were a couple of elements that I thought we should, kind of get into and think about and all that kind of stuff. So, what I'm going to do is I need to load a couple of things first. So, of course, I was like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? We know that later on this week, Atlanta United is going to be Team 17 in the NWSL. So I'll go ahead and go here. So let me do this. So last night in Columbus, there was a vote from the city council about repurposing a planned park for practice facility to get ready for and I'm going to go ahead and say it, the probability that Columbus, Ohio is going to be Team 18 in the NWSL. So it was an idea of city council vote needed to repurpose. It was heated. So here's the results from that vote last night. So we'll go ahead and play this. This is from our friends at WBNS TV, 10 TV in Columbus. Liddy Cathy is the reporter. And here's how the vote went last night involving this particular park. It was close. It passed, but it was contentious once again from 10 TV in Columbus. Here's what happened last night as they leaned toward Team 18.
In a heated meeting, a split Columbus City Council approving a $25 million deal to help back the city's bid for a pro women's soccer team, but not without pushback, even among council members who supported it. With an amendment introduced today to reaffirm the city's commitment to replacing McCoy Park, some residents still not on board. The $25 million deal, to be paid back through a 2% ticket fee at Scott's Miracle Grove Field, would support stadium upgrades and a new training facility with 5 soccer fields. That facility would replace existing plans at McCoy Park. The amendment, which also passed, requires a working group to create a new park plan within a set timeline and includes a $3 million contribution from team owners. It also requires part of the soccer facility to remain public.
It's absolutely not enough, and I'm furious that it even passed as well.
Some residents still skeptical and angry.
If they wanted real feedback on this amendment and the changes that they're proposing, they would have given community members more time to do it.
We could have 100% full support for a women's soccer team here in Columbus, which we do want, but not at the cost of McCoy Park.
Council President Hardin repeatedly criticizing the mayor's office, saying commitments were made without council approval, creating what he called a breakdown of trust.
I'm frustrated that the mayor's negligence put us all in this situation.
And that was the 10 TV in Columbus. Sorry, I thought I muted myself. 10 TV in Columbus, getting you, hang on just a second, Abby. Let me grab the name of the park. Let's see, 10 TV in Columbus. So McCoy Park in Columbus. McCoy Park is what you're looking for. So that's what you're hunting for with that. So they're repurposing McCoy Park for the practice facility. At this moment, they're wanting to repurpose McCoy Park. So they're trying to repurpose McCoy Park for the practice facility and a public field. It has currently been earmarked for just a straight public park and renovations and all this kind of stuff. So they would be taking McCoy Park in Columbus and flipping it to the idea of, okay, this is where the NWSL franchise is going to be doing their thing. So we'll keep an eye on that, obviously, and we'll find out the latest as that continues to go. But I mean, if it's the Haslams that we're talking about here, they're going to want to put in the investment that they're going to want to figure out what goes where. The Haslams are going to invest the money that they're looking to invest to bring the NWSL to Columbus. And odds are that they're probably going to be Team 18 if they can get everything squared away. So we'll keep an eye on this, but McCoy Park's repurposing was the latest step in this. They're also running the website and the petition drive on the interwebs. And so to me, it seems almost like a fait accompli, considering that the Haslams initially were just like, yeah, well, we're interested in doing this. I don't think the NWSL would turn down Haslam money. And so you have Columbus, Ohio, which we know what it is for a market for Major League Soccer. And so it will be interesting as this continues to grow, evolve, what have you, to see how it continues to go. I don't think that, and you got this in the piece from Libby Cathy, that there's a whole lot of people who are against the idea of an NWSL franchise coming to Columbus. It's just the logistics and the orchestration that is attached to it is where people are getting hot. And so that's what you're staring at right now in Columbus as they're trying to figure out how they can bring Team 18 on board. And so last night it was a contentious city council meeting in Columbus. It passed 5-3. I've always wondered why you had even-numbered city council or just even-numbered governmental votes. instead of odd numbered votes. You wouldn't have to go to tiebreakers and pro tems and things like that. But anyway, keep an eye on Columbus, Ohio. And, it'll get figured out. So it appears that our guest is going to happen in 13 minutes. And so we'll kind of get into some stuff with our secret guest coming up here in 13 minutes, and we'll let you know what's going on there. So here's the deal. Secret guest in 13 minutes. I'm literally trying to broker this as we go. And then once the secret guest is appropriately brokered, that'll be 9:30. Then 10 o'clock is going to be Kacey D. Then 10:30 is going to be Jacob Haygood, the head coach for Mary Persons. GHSA playoffs start today. So we caught up with Jacob and found out, okay, here's what's going on at Mary Persons on the boys' side. Both teams made the playoffs this year, but we're going to catch up on the boys' side, let you know what's going on there, talk about AAA as a classification. So rundown is guest is coming at 9:30, we think. I'm getting independent confirmations and squaring it away. So we should be good to go with secret guest at 9:30. Kacey D will join us at 10 o'clock. Jacob Haygood from Mary Persons will join us at 10:30. And then we'll have Red Clay at noon. So everybody catch your breath. Okay, a couple of things to buzz around with here a little bit. Obviously, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Once again, remember, starting your day with the most important stories in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Home blend is made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy bodied. Notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Okay, a couple of other things that might have been missed yesterday. Wolves officially relegated in the Premier League with the non-result that happened with Happy to Be Here FC and West Ham. So West Ham get a point and relegated Wolves, widen the gap to Spurs. So that's kind of where we are in the Premier League. You are one down, and I think a loss in the midweek by Burnley to Manchester City relegates them, which means you only have the one spot left. So keep an eye on that as you go. Also, Bournemouth has confirmed Marco Rosa is going to take over for Andoni Iraola as head coach. It's a 3-year deal, and so we'll see how that continues. Can Bournemouth once again they're within shouting distance of European football right now. There's a group of folks just under Chelsea. Chelsea's lost four in a row. And Liam Rosenior and his time, they're kind of like, folks are, if he loses to Leeds, they're saying that Rosenior could be gone. And that would be chaotic, but welcome to the Premier League. And right now, the way the table is set, see what I did there? You've got it, Chelsea at 6. They are in right now that Europa League spot. And then you get to figure out, okay, if a team in the Premier League wins another competition, then how does that affect things? Chelsea right now is in the Europa League spot at 48 points. Had a 4-game losing streak snapped last time out with a win. Brentford is behind them in goal difference. Bournemouth is behind them in goal difference at 6, 7, and 8. Everybody's at 48 points. Brighton's at 47. Everton's at 47. Sunderland's at 46. Fulham's at 45. And we'll include Crystal Palace and Newcastle just for issues and giggles at 43 and 42. So what that means is 9 teams separated by 6 points with 5 matches to go. And so you have all of that happening right now in the Premier League, and you've got midweek matches, and we'll find out how it looks after the midweek heading into the weekend, because it's also an FA Cup weekend. So you have some teams playing midweek, and then not everybody's playing on the weekend because of that. So that's where we are right now in the Premier League. Yikes. And Leicester is on the way to being back-to-back relegated. And there is a really cool deep dive that goes into it, and it's over at Sky, about where things have gone wrong, financially, et cetera. So it's a really good pullback of the curtain. And a lot of them, the notion is that had the elder Svidivana Prava not passed away tragically in a helicopter accident, then they would not be in the financial mess that they're in now. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that, but they could be back-to-back relegations for Leicester, and folks are not optimistic about Leicester next year when it comes to their future. So it is going to be an interesting time at Leicester. Evangelos Marinakis once again distancing himself from Forest, once again to avoid UEFA sanctions, and it has been divulged that it looks like Forest is in compliance with PSR right now, and so that's why you see less and less of Evangelos Marinakis. He still is at his table up in the stands. He's not running down to the field and yelling at people. So he has apparently detached himself financially enough to the point to where it satisfies PSR, and everyone's okay with this at the moment. So we'll see what continues there with Nottingham Forest, and we'll see what it looks like with anything and everything going on there. So, all right, let me see what else is going on. Oh, Adam Crafton and Henry Bushnell. We'll get into this. This was at The Athletic this morning, and this came out before we were putting our notes together. So ticket sales for the World Cup opener in Los Angeles for the U.S. lagging behind other matches, according to a document distributed to local organizers. Document dated April 10, shared with hosts to ensure adequate planning, listed just under 41,000 tickets purchased for the June 12 match between the U.S. and Paraguay, compared to 50,661 for Iran and New Zealand 3 days later at SoFi. FIFA lists stadium capacity at 69,650, and the document does not necessarily suggest there are tens of thousands of seats still available, because it's unclear if the numbers include hospitality and other types of tickets weren't sold to the general public. FIFA did not clarify when they were asked to on Saturday and on Monday. The LA host committee was the same. So Bushnell and Adam Crafton at The Athletic were looking for a clarification. Didn't get it from either. And FIFA spokesperson responding after publication Tuesday, email, ticket sales for FIFA World Cup remain strong with a high degree of interest for all matches, including the ones you've highlighted. Spokesperson argued the document, quote, does not accurately reflect actual sales to date. And that's a 10-day window from April 10 to today, basically. So growing body of evidence, according to Bushnell and Crafton, that the U.S. opener has not been selling as well as expected. Category 1 and Category 2 tickets, $27.30 and $19.40. There's no decimal place in there. Priced the June 12 match, third most expensive of the entire World Cup, behind only the final and one of the semis. Category 1 and 2 tickets, priced at $2,730, $1,940, have remained available throughout subsequent sales phases. A clear indication fans have been deterred by the price tag. For most other games, on the other hand, fans have gobbled up available tickets. Sensing, quote, unprecedented demand, FIFA raised prices for a majority of matches, often by hundreds of dollars. Supply and demand, flexible pricing, yeah, I get it. Kept those prices frozen for USA Paraguay, the $2,730, the $1,940, the $1,120 in their main categories. Only match featuring a co-host that has not seen prices hiked over the past 6 months. Category 1 price for Mexico's opener against South Africa, by contrast, has jumped progressively from $1,825 in October to just under $3,000 currently. Those prices, tickets to USA Paraguay selling slowly. Thousands listed on FIFA's ticketing site ever since the last-minute sales phase began April 1st. On the 9th, 2,529 available on a first-come, first-served basis. 10 days later, they had sold just under 300. So it's still 2,200 available. And Sunday, only 9 matches on the ticketing portal showed more than 100 tickets available, even though many of the 95 matches have not yet sold out. And you're probably going to have walk-up and things like that because people would still be interested. And they're going to say, oh, let's go ahead and go. 9 games with significant availability, perhaps exceptions, seemingly the ones for demand, which has not materialized, at least at current prices. Unsurprisingly, 7 matches featuring mostly low-profile teams. 3 between Australia, or Jordan and Algeria, New Zealand, Egypt, Uzbekistan, DR Congo, and Saudi Arabia's matches with Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, and Uruguay. The other 2 are Canada and U.S. openers. So that's your pseudo ticket update with the ticket pricing that is out there. And like I said, right now, we've still got a while. to figure out what it's going to look like. But right now, there are some matches that are just astronomically priced tickets. We'll see what happens. Do they go down with supply and demand? Do they stay where they are? We'll see. A couple of other things on the board. An EPL ref has been kept off Nottingham Forest matches for 2 years, according to Phil Hay at The Athletic. And Kevin Friend, a top-level ref, has supported Bristol City, kept away from their matches, never handled Leicester fixtures because he lived in the area. And so now The Athletic's Danny Taylor has revealed Stuart Atwell, one of the PGMOL's leading officials, is being purposely distanced from all Nottingham Forest matches over an incident that occurred 2 years ago. April 24, chosen as VAR for the matchup at Everton at Goodison Park. And that was a matchup that 3 penalty calls went Everton's way. Nottingham Club, that was when Evangelinas Marinakis had social media say things very, very loudly on Twitter, saying that Atwell was a Luton Town fan. Luton at the time was also part of the Premier League's relegation zone chase. FA launched a disciplinary action against Forest, later deleted the tweet, fined about $1 million, record punishment for an offense involving social media. It was an example of the authorities backing a referee. Since then, Atwell, a FIFA-listed ref who'd been fast-tracked to become the Premier League's youngest match official, age 25, has not been involved in a single Forest match as a ref, a fourth, or a VAR. And so just food for thought. Nothing in the report suggests Forest themselves asked for Atwell to steer clear of their matches. What isn't clear is whether the stance was dictated by the PGMOL alone or whether Atwell also wanted to avoid matches involving Forest. Atwell initially listed as the fourth official for Forest FA Cup third-round tie with Wrexham. In the build-up, Atwell quietly replaced by Darren England. PGMOL has declined a request to explain why that happened. So Mark Clattenburg kept away from Goodison Park for a lot of years for things involving Everton and Liverpool. And so interesting there that Stuart Atwell has been pulled away from Nottingham Forest matches. We mentioned what happened with Wolves and mentioned a lot of other of the events that have gone on. UK police seized more than 4,000 fake football shirts in a pre-World Cup raid. Counterfeit goods included Argentina, France, and England tops. And also The Athletic is looking at the finances of Chelsea as well as our friends at theesk.org and our friend Paul Quinn, who are still trying to get on the show with all of the work that he's been able to do. Chelsea insists that their long-term strategy is safely on track, isn't washing with the fan base. You had protests on the weekend, and apparently they're doing the numbers. Then they have so many numbers, but Blueco might need assets to be worth £5.1 billion just to make their money back. According to data, one loan of £500 million could ultimately cost £1.4 billion to repay. And that is where Aries management and their interest in Chelsea comes to the fore. Once again, check out Paul Quinn at the ESK. He's doing an analysis series. Let me show you the latest. This is the requested required reading. This came about a week ago. And so this is part of what Paul has been doing. And so what I would recommend as part of requested required reading is the time at the ESK. So that is, keep an eye out on the ESK. Seriously. The esk.org, and Paul Quinn has done a lot of great work, and he did an analysis piece, analysis of Aries Management's credit exposure warrants and embedded derivative structures within the Blueco Consortium. It is a 6-line headline. That's the title of the piece, the analysis series that he's doing. That was a 6-line header. And it goes into how Chelsea is funded and how Aries Management operates. And so that's requested required reading like over lunch because of how it's all laid out and how Aries is interested over here and how Aries is interested over here and how Aries is interested in Eagle. By the way, Botafogo now has another 3-window transfer ban, not having anything to do with Atlanta United and still owing them $20 million. It is a separate deal now. And you go on to FIFA, You go onto FIFA's website, and it shows you literally where is it? FIFA transfer bans. What is it? It's a funny name. FIFA transfer bans, and it is the jurisprudence database. Knowledge.fifa.com. And the start of the registration ban. Bonfield has now been added in Argentina until it's been lifted. But yesterday, 3, 6, 8, 9, at least, you had 9 franchises that had, so it was just the 9. 9 franchises that were added to transfer bans. Botafogo is now one of those 9. 3 windows transfer ban, and it's over $1 million disagreement involving a player transfer. And it looks like someone who is in charge at Juve is looking to kick the tires on buying Botafogo. But Botafogo is in a 3-window transfer ban again for something that is far less than the money that they owe Atlanta United, which is still being negotiated and determined and figured out. But right now, Botafogo is back on the transfer clock, on the ban clock. So we'll see what happens involving Botafogo. But so somebody's interested, but somebody's also got to pay some bills. But yes, the knowledge.fifa.com, you should bookmark this. You bookmark it and you sit there and you go, hey, look at this. So go here and you can keep an eye on things. Surprise guest is here. Excellent. Now, so here we go. We're going to bring in the surprise guest. He's in the green room, and I was like, okay, are we going to get him? We're going to get him. We're going to get him. The answer is yes. And so we bring him in. Javier Perez, Grand Exalted Poobah of Methodology for Atlanta United. Good to see you, Javier. Good to see you,
Good
man.
to see you, John. Thank you for having me.
No. You're a busy dude. It's like we got a note at like a little before 9 o'clock. Hey, would you like to have Javier on the show? And I'm like, sure.
Yes, I just finished my first meeting of the day. My apologies, I was 3 minutes late for
dude. Look, it's all good.
But
it's all
I had
good.
9 meetings today, so just getting everything aligned,
It's all good. I will take that 9 minutes and I will run with it. My biggest thing for you is how busy are you right now trying to get everything in line with Atlanta United? How busy are you right now?
This is a very busy period of the year for me, because we have the opportunity to benchmark all our teams. We work during the season, and as you know, the second team is pretty much starting the season.
Yeah,
we had a strong start. Last 2 weeks, we have both wins back to back, away from home, scoring 5 goals, having clean sheets in both games, and winning away against 2 tough opponents like Inter Miami, second team, and Chicago Fire, second team as well. So it's a way to test where we are as a club, where we are as a team, and where we are in our development system, because a lot of these players, they are coming from the academy. Actually, 6 days ago, it was my second anniversary at the club. I've been here for 2 years, and now we can start seeing which direction we are taking, And this is for the second team, but as well a little bit different for the academy, because the academy has a European style season, meaning that we start in August, we finish at the beginning of June, and now in the spring is where we have our major competitions, and we have the opportunity to benchmark our academy versus the other academies in the country. We had that a couple of weeks ago at GA Cup, with our U16s being the champions of the Premier bracket, winning Columbus Crew in the final, but beating Cincinnati, beating NYCFC, Montreal, Philadelphia Union, pretty much all the MLS opponents on the way. And then the U15s, they lost by a narrow margin against Valencia FC, or Valencia Club de Football in Spain. And we were the only team that were able to give some opposition to Valencia, which we were 2-2. We conceded a late penalty in the game, and we ended up conceding that game 3-2. But Valencia won that tournament, taking aside our game without major opposition. They won the final 4-0, just to give as a reference. So this is a good moment for us to benchmark our academy, not only at national level, which I think we are up there, probably between the 2 or 3 top academies in the country, but as well to benchmark our academy at international level when we play against international opposition. For instance, when we played with the U15s versus Anderlecht, and you think about Anderlecht as a club, you think Belgium as a major power in terms of youth development. Yesterday, one of the Belgian teams, it was Bruges, was in the final of the Youth Champions League against Real Madrid. Real Madrid won on penalties. And when we were at GA Cup, we beat Anderlecht 2-0 in the stadium game. And people might think, well, who is Anderlecht? When you think about the game that the US play against Belgium here in Atlanta, and the US was beat by Belgium 5-2. 4 of the 5 goals scored by Belgium, they were coming from Anderlecht academy products. So this is the level of the player development clubs that we are talking about.
In the 2 years that you have been here, when you look at the growth of the program and the benchmarks that you've been hitting, what has it been like for you to see this growth get to where it is right now as it hits that next step when it comes to benchmarks and growth on a worldwide basis?
This is a great question. When I first came, I was here for 6 months, and I looked at the academy. I thought, we don't have any players. We have maybe 1 or 2 that they can come across in the first team, And fast forward a couple of years later, these 1 or 2, they are in the first team. One is Cooper Sanchez. The other one is Jonathan Ramson, that he plays consistently for the second team. He's our third goalkeeper for the first team. Both actually eligible to play for the U18s still, Cooper, with all the starting games that he had this year, already is a huge value for the club. But then after a year working with my team here at the academy, because these things you don't get them done alone, you need to have a team around you, and I'm fortunate to have this group of people that they are very competent, very passionate about the player development. We start to see after a year that with the player selection and the player pool that and the profiles of the players, we start developing very, very interesting profiles. And now we have this U16 team that is at 2010. I can see 3-4 players coming into the first team without a problem, So we start to see, we are fortunate to be in a very gifted market where we have very good profiles of players, and now it's a matter to develop them, and we start to see the results after 1 year after I was here. And 2 of of the teams that we had in playoffs, the two teams that we had in playoffs, we were able to qualify both of them for their respective finals, the U15s and the U16s. We were the only MLS team doing that, and that's a good benchmark for us to determine where we are as academy. Then it's a matter of giving opportunities to those players into the professional environment. So, as you know, I'm responsible for the second team and the academy. The way we do it is we fast track the top talent from the U16s and the U18s that they train in the morning into our second team environment. And now with Coach Tata, many of these players, they had the opportunity to train as well with the first team.
Last question for you, because I know you got a jet because you're like one of the busiest men on the planet. What is the biggest challenge in the methodology department that you have looking at academy and twos? What is the biggest challenge you think you have going forward to continue benchmarking and success on the curve that you're looking for?
That's a great question. I think there are a couple of things. One is getting everybody aligned, and that starts with the recruitment, not only of the players, but as well your staff, and the ability to work in a team setting. As I said before, these things, they don't get done just because I'm here. They get done because, yes, I'm leading the project, but I have a lot of competent people around me that they are able to execute the ideas that we state together. And in order to do that, you need a common philosophy, right? And the second biggest challenge is, now that we have those players that they have the ability, and remember that I've been working in world-class organizations prior, I think that the biggest challenge is how to give those opportunities to these talented players into the first team setting, I know that these players, they have the talent and the ability to perform at that level, but then you have to lay out the right environment and the opportunities for those players to make it into the first team,
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to get these updates. And I know that when you give these answers, it opens more doors for me that give more questions, which of course means you're going to have to come back.
No problem at all. It's always a pleasure. You do something very meaningful, which is covering the work that we do here. If we don't have a voice like yourself, our supporters, our fans, they don't know what's going on. And this is a great opportunity to connect to our fans, which at the end of the day, they are the ones that they are giving us the strength to continue to carry on to work, because at the end of the day, is the badge what we are playing for, for the badge and for our fans.
Yep, and I heard the notification go off on that laptop, which means you got to go. As always, be safe, my friend. We will see you at Mercedes-Benz. We will see you there at the training ground, and we'll catch up with you soon. Javier, thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, John. Likewise. Have a great day.
There goes Javier Perez, Director of Methodology for Atlanta United. And so literally that was the surprise guest. Literally, it's like, okay, you can have him, and here's your window. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. I will take that window and I will run. So that was a way to kind of open, just kind of open the door a little bit about what's going on below the first team and how everything integrates. Because really, it's cool to catch up with Javier for like 10 minutes. But because there's so much going on, it really needs a lot more than 10 minutes. But I will take that 10 minutes when I can get it. I mean, I would love to sit down and have, me and Jason and Maddie and Javier just sit at a table and just literally talk for, if we blocked out an hour, like if we blocked out a lunch or if we blocked out a meal window and just broke bread and just did it that way, because there's a lot to get into. And I tried to kind of, gauge greatest hits and things like that. It's like, okay, so he's been here for 2 years. Man, he's been here for 2 years, that kind of shocked me too. And because it seems just like yesterday. But to bring in Javier and have him talk about what he has seen, what they've implemented, the changes, all of this stuff. It was a very, very surface level opportunity to catch up with Javier. But what that did is it opened up more windows for me. Okay, so what has been implemented? How many people are in the department that we don't know about? What is when it comes to getting everyone on the same page? It's almost like assembling a team. And how long did it take for everybody to get on the same page? Is it different personalities that come to the table, or is it all one like mind? And so all of these different things that come into my head when Javier opens these doors, and I'm like, expletive deleted. There's a lot of stuff to get into. So him coming in this morning now lends itself to a longer conversation that needs to be recorded, or just have him on just to kind of chew the fat and just have it turn into an organic discussion. So I was glad we got the 10 that we got, because you heard the notification go off at the end where, yes, I got to go to my next meeting. And I think that what's like the 10-minute notification. So that means that Javier is ready to go from one location. He's got 10 minutes to get set up for the next meeting. And so for him, that means 9:55, he's got to be in the room, wherever that meeting is and whatever he's doing. So when that notification went off, I'm like, yeah, he's in the 10-minute warning. I got to wrap up. But anyway, it was a quick conversation to get a very, very quick understanding about the successes that we're seeing at U15, U16, U18, twos, etc., and building from the youth and having them all come up for and having them all learn and gain experience and come forward. And you're seeing that result right now, like we talked about yesterday with Jose and Jose Silva in the twos, and Javier mentioned it. So Javier mentioned the idea of what you're seeing with the twos right now. And the last two matches, you now have a team that is right there when it comes to the Eastern Conference in MLS Next Pro. And then obviously the next thing is just maintaining your energy and your momentum and your success and all that kind of stuff. But when you think about the last two matches, as he mentioned, 2-0 shutout of Inter Miami on the road down at the Erector Set. They are Inter Fort Lauderdale, because they're still over there at Chase. They now call it Inter Miami CF Stadium. I wonder if that thing's going to get torn down or if it's just going to stay and be the home of the twos. And then you go to SeatGeek in Bridgeview. It's like, man, you're going up against Inter Miami, but it's at the Erector Set, because I don't think they're going to let them within like 10 miles of new stadium. It's like, this place is yours. We're over here. We're downtown by the airport now. Y'all can have this. And so maybe that does become Two's headquarters. But Messi and Friends 2 playing in Fort Lauderdale, you go there, you get a 2-0 win. Then you go to SeatGeek, which is not Chicago. It's Bridgeview, and that's like an hour. And then that's an hour in Chicago traffic. You're going to Fort Lauderdale on the Erector Set. You're going to Bridgeview. And if I remember correctly, the only thing close to eat in Bridgeview is like an Applebee's. And everything shuts down early. So it's like Office Parks, Bridgeview, and an Applebee's. But in those last two games, you've won 5-0. Two shutouts, and you're winning 5-0 in your last two matches after losing to Crown Legacy 5-0, and don't get me started on red cards and things like that. But now you've got a week to think about it, and you end up playing at Carolina Core, your next match on May the 2nd, 6 o'clock out at Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina. So you got a week to think about it. But right now, in MLS Next Pro, you are fourth in the East. I think you're still fourth in the East. Let me double check. But yeah, there's an off week coming up for Atlanta United. You are fourth in the East, and you are 1 point, basically. You are one win out of second place in the Eastern Conference in MLS Next Pro. And it's finding those players that have come up through the academy, finding the right experienced players to blend with what you're looking for. And you're seeing the result right now with Atlanta United 2 and MLS Next Pro. And you're also seeing it at the 15s and the 16s. And Javier mentioned that as well, going up against Anderlecht and Valencia in U15 competition. And, and this is, part and parcel to why we enjoy calling the academy matches. Same thing that we do when we started calling the twos games a handful of years ago. It gives everyone an opportunity to sit there and look at that next wave. And so now with the academy matches that are on, it gives you the opportunity to really pull back the curtain. With the twos, we have the chance to sit there and let you see the next wave, see rehabilitations and players getting ready to come back to the first team. Now with the academy, HLUTD.com/live, you get to see the 16s and the 18s. And you get to see how they're going up against competition in Major League Soccer. And so to be able to look at, say, Josh Kwan as an example, you will know as they continue to grow, whether it's James Donaldson, John O'Ransom, Ruben Clausen, all of those players that you see with the twos that have that academy upbringing. And Javier mentioned it when he came in the door. He's like, okay, I think there's only 2 players here. They've added to that. And so you're seeing that now, and you get to see it more with the window that Atlanta United has opened to show you the U18s and the U16s on the weekends during this time of year. So that when these players work their way up, yeah, I saw him with the 15s and the 16s and the 2s. And so everyone gets that knowledge base that's attached to Atlanta United Soccer. But no, I cannot thank Chris Winkler and the communications staff and Javier, really, because literally Chris was like, okay, here's your window. You want him? Yes. And so Javier comes in. He apologized for being late. He's like, I got 9 minutes. And I said, I'll take it. So that's when we get those opportunities, I'm not turning those down. But that was a bit of a pulling back of the curtain for the academy and the twos. And like I said, I hope that it helps a little bit to understand the other levels that are attached to the growth curve here with Atlanta United. So that was it was a really good opportunity that I was not going to miss, and let everybody know what's going on with the twos. I know that the obviously the first team's having a very rough time, but there are more pieces to the puzzle, and to be able to sit there and introduce those pieces to you, it's a no-brainer on our part. So that was the surprise guest, getting 10 minutes with the director of methodology for Atlanta United, Javier Perez. Back to news for a couple of minutes. We got 5 minutes before KCD joins us at 10 o'clock. So it looks like, Botafogo is in a 3-transfer ban window again, 3-window transfer ban again. And, knowledge.fifa.com. That's where you go to keep an eye on things. That was when when the agreement happened between Atlanta United and Botafogo, name disappeared. Now it's back in because there's a 7-figure disagreement between player, agent, agent, and club. And so that's where we're at with them. But there's plenty of Chelsea stuff to look at. And like I said, Paul Quinn over at the esk.org is really crushing it, and he's getting a lot of work done. Yesterday, like I said, it was announced that Ferrari's president is one of the contenders to buy Botafogo. The SAF was put up for sale in an advertisement by Court Gully, the administrators. And they are the judicial administrator of Eagle Football Holdings. Claim included Lyon, RWDM Brussels, and Botafogo. John Elkann, the prominent businessman in the international automotive market, and this is from Libertad de Pre. It's on the list of possible interested parties. President of the Stellantis conglomerate. Like I said, Nick would know more about this than me. But Elkann is president of the Stellantis conglomerate. Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, Citroën, Fiat, Jeep, Lancia, Maserati, Peugeot. And CEO of Exor, the conglomerate that holds the shareholdings in Juve and Ferrari. And he's been president of Ferrari since 2018. So right now, he's on the board. And the Botafogo failing to pay basically like $1.4 million to Danilo's agents. That's why being sued and currently being in court is where the transfer ban pops up. And this happened back on Friday. Committed to paying basically $1 million US in 10 installments plus about $925,000 in fees. But the SAF did not make the first payment. And so now the total amount is 6.6 Brazilian real. And if you go 20% of that, that's $1.32 million. So million three. And that's why they took him to court. And that's why you're staring at Botafogo and a transfer ban going forward. Hi, I know that shocks you. And Igor Siqueira, since we got a couple of minutes, UOL in Brazil, Igor Siqueira has an article up this morning before we woke up. Suffocated by debt and a lack of cash, John Textor is trying to stem the bleeding of collections. Director and part of the club's association considered judicial reorganization likely for the near future. Textor has the autonomy, according to Siqueira, to request judicial reorganization on an interim or precautionary measure, but the implementation after 30 or 60 days will depend on the approval of the Botafogo Association as stipulated in the shareholders agreement. Judicial reorganization is the only possible way, they think, to try and ensure Botafogo's administrative and sporting survival. Measure could also prevent potential unilateral contract terminations by players since the club is at least 2 months behind on image rights payments. Under the general sports law, there's already a loophole allowing athletes to seek unilateral contract termination due to such debts in court. We mentioned the Danilo case. And so that is where we are with John Textor and court. And then we also have Aries that is there. And Aries is interested in getting their money. Shareholder meeting where Textor wanted to approve the $25 million US on the condition of issuing new shares to another company similar to Eagle, but it's basically a spinoff that's based in the Caymans. Didn't take place, losing directors from the SAF. Financial situation so serious it compromises current cash flow. A report produced at Textor's own request indicated debt of around two. So it's 2/10 of 2.5. So it's 2.5 times 2 is $500 million. The end of last year, US. 200 million of that is on short-term debt, meaning it matures this year. So that's another. I feel like it's Laurel and Hardy sketch. It's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Again, John Textor, Eagle Football Holdings. Okay, she was busy. She's like one of the busiest people on the planet. And when literally if you were to watch, if you're a sicko like me or Jason or any of us that are here, literally you turn your head in any competition that's going on and you hear this person's voice now. She is everywhere. I filibustered to 10 o'clock. Casey
Hello.
D. Oh, look at you wearing the TST gear. Uh-huh.
We're getting close. We're almost within a month. Got a rep.
So are you going to just stand on the sidelines and yell, or are you actually participating?
I am not playing, and I will just say this for now. I'm heavily involved during TST, but I hung up my boots many, many moons ago, but with TST, I hung up my boots after the first year.
Okay.
I do not play anymore.
So that's why you play golf and you ridicule my golf game. I see how this works.
Yes, that's exactly how that works.
So in the past 2 weeks, you called Open Cup and MLS. Am I missing anything else?
No, that's what I've been doing. 2 games in Open Cup and then 1 MLS game.
How and what I want to do with my first question has to do with more about preparation for Open Cup more than anything else, because when we were in Chattanooga for CFC and Atlanta United, we knew that you were doing I think you were doing Naples and the purple team, right, to start?
Was.
Okay. So, and I know that folks in some parts of Florida are sitting there going, man, I wish we had VAR.
I think you might be right on that.
But if all you have is shots from behind the goal and you don't have definitive and all this kind of stuff, you got to do what you got to do. And I know that one team feels aggrieved on an equalizer, but then you had a late game out west, didn't you?
I did. It's amazing how quick you can travel.
Yeah, I've some transmogrifiers and everything. When you're preparing for a back-to-backer, where you're hoping to God the first game is over by the time your second game is going on. Otherwise, there's a serious issue that you're sitting there and it's like, okay, no, you need to go over to this room and call this match now. How challenging is it for you? And I know that you seriously do enjoy these kinds of challenges, but mentally, physically, proportionally, from a TV sense, how difficult is it to prepare for a back-to-backer?
Well, as far as when I'm actually there, we did not go into overtime and penalties, so it makes my life a little easier. I was in back-to-back rooms, to your point. So all of that was pretty simple and straightforward. I had about an hour break between games. So that's great. But as far as preparation goes, to your point, I had called a San Jose Earthquakes game earlier in the year, so felt quite familiar with them. And that was my later game. So that helps in that regard. But you almost prepare in backwards in a way, in case I go to penalties, in case I go to overtime. Like, you cannot be scrambling. Like, your preparation has to be complete, done, ready to go. But we don't have lineups until an hour before. We don't have, so there's always a little bit you've got to do in the in-between. So I very much get all my boards done pretty early in the week, where I don't have to think about the detail pieces. I watch my games as I get closer, but it just is a little bit more of a workload. The hardest part, honestly, is just changing your brain to a new game and reminding yourself of the tactics, because you've just watched an entire game that you have analyzed and really thought about, and you have to just go, I got to start over and then go again.
Yep, and try and purge the information. And what I tell folks is, are you to the second game yet? Meaning, are you literally, is everything else behind you, and are you at that second game yet? If the answer is no, then don't think about it, because all of the information gets blended in your head, and you're dropping player names that are on the teams of the game that you're doing instead of the game that they're going to be in, all this kind of stuff. So literally, I always tell folks, game at a time. It is literally first game, focus on it until that one's over. Don't think about the second one in depth. I mean, do your cursory preps, but everything. But first game's over, then you start looking at the second game.
Luckily, I cut my teeth doing a lot of back-to-backs with CONCACAF games many, many years ago, U15, U17, U20 games, and going from Curacao to St. Kitts and Nevis to a USA game to Jamaica, and back-to-back days. And so it's a huge challenge, and no one ever gets it perfectly right. But now when I just have two for one day, I go, okay, not so bad. And I've done one of these teams already this year, and I'm familiar with Pamadou Kaw's Phoenix Rising team and X1, and I have Orlando City on the weekend, so I've already started prepping for that. So it makes it a little bit easier when you have had the reps of something that's even more challenging.
Yeah, see, this way we save this soundbite for the young and impressionable folks who want to do this for a career. That's why I asked this question.
Perfect.
KCD, and where she be at home, because we heard Owen in the background getting.
Did you hear him lapping up all that water? I was like, they might hear that.
Oh yeah, he's properly hydrated, because that's what we want in this segment. We want properly hydrated guests who are at the top of their game. And
he usually just relaxes. He's back relaxing, but he, I guess, was a little thirsty.
Yeah, properly hydrated, as the way it should be. You had Purple Team and Houston on the weekend, and I know that a lot of folks will look at that game coming into it and go, you're looking at two defenses that have kind of given up a whole lot of goals in this one. What were your thoughts going into this particular matchup in Central Florida?
It was interesting because both coaches obviously have had a recent focus, I should say, of we've got to stop the leaking. We have to get more organized defensively, but it hasn't necessarily gone that direction. And especially for Ben Olsen on the road, there was a specificity to being on the road for him, where they gave up 4 goals versus Dallas. They gave up 6 goals versus Colorado. He said, like, our defensive performance between home and away form is dismal. And
uh-oh. I don't know what happened. I know. There it is. Did somebody try to call you? That was weird. absolutely just crazy dump. That was wild. So that's now you're seeing how the sausage is made here a little bit, but that was crazy. That was wild that happened. Here we go. Okay. All right. So I don't know what happened.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that was wild.
That was weird. It just cut out. I'm back though.
Yes, you are. So I'm thinking that the fans that were anti-Houston were the ones that were trying to.
Apparently. So I'm going to still say Ben doesn't pull any punches. I don't know what all you heard, but he had pointed out the dismal goals against when they're on the road. Christian and I still expected a lot of goals in this game. As much as, okay, there's a focus on defending and okay, that's all great for both teams. We still expected there to be multiple goals in this game. So for it to be 0-0 as long as it was pretty surprising.
And there's the freeze. Yeah. So and there's your freeze. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the goal in the match, and we'll discuss it on the other side as to what in the wide world of sports happened in this particular matchup. So here's the one goal, the surprising part. One goal in this match, courtesy of Apple TV and our friends at Major League Soccer, and you'll hear a familiar voice, and you'll also hear Christian Miles. And here is said goal. She said, as goalless as it was for as long as it was, here's your goal.
And the break is on, and here come the Houston Dynamo. Inali in a flowing, sweeping move on the break. Inali in an inside channel. Inali twisting and turning, still Inali across from Ponce, and the second bite of the apple is put home. Ache, back in the first team and back amongst the goals.
Heads up play. He's been pulling the strings all day. Lawrence Inali has Matej Bogusz, number 19 on the far side. He can play early, but he doesn't. He decides to go himself. And then Hector Herrera with the great finish. This is not easy technically what Herrera has to do. First opportunity here. Ponce not able to finish. That ball is bouncing up. So Ache has to get over the ball with his left foot. Great individual effort from Inali, and then Herrera coming through with the touch that finishes it off.
Then that was Kacey D and Christian Miles, and now she's back on the big screen.
I don't know what the heck's going on. I apologize.
No, it's probably me. So we played the one goal, and it was an ollie down the right, charging into the 18, and then it was a shot. He took everything himself, and then the shot, rebound out, and then recycled play, and then Ache puts it in the net. What sticks in your mind about Houston offensively on that possession and sticking with it to get the one goal in the match?
Willing runners above the ball, I thought was amazing. When they broke out, Hector Herrera started the whole play with the ball into Inali. If you watch it really closely again, he cannot run as fast as Ponce and Guilherme to join in those areas, but he's trailing the run. So there's Bogusz as well, 4 runners in the box, hoping for an opportunity in transition. At that point in the game, in a game that had been so open-ended and players were fatigued, it was quite impressive for the commitment to go forward.
All right. So I guess this is where we do the progress report for both of those teams coming into this multiple match week. So it's 3 matches in 8 days. I know that the perpetually frustrated Ben Olsen wants to give up less goals. He's got the offensive firepower to kind of counteract it a little bit. What do you think right now of where Houston is at this particular point of the season?
I spoke about it in game a bit. They played a different defensive system and playing a 4-4-2 than they've played all year. They went to the wingback system for the majority of the beginning of the season, and there were some transition moments where they were caught out. I liked the flexibility defensively for them to move between systems. As you mentioned, the difference of, let's say, them and an Orlando City right now is they are getting goals more often from different players. And that is something that can help you at least have a little bit of wiggle room if you do give up a goal. It almost feels like Orlando City can't even give up one goal because they're only producing maybe one goal, if that. And so for Houston, I like their attack. I think defensively they're getting a little better. And I have to give Ben Olsen credit. inserting Herrera, we all know what he can do, but inserting him in this game after a Colorado Rapids game where they could not build and putting him in there and trusting that, I think it was the right move at the right time. I don't expect to see it the whole year, but right now without Jack McGlynn, I think he's making some good adaptations.
All right. Just as a bit of a lead-in tease, we're going to have Miguel Gallardo joining us tomorrow to discuss Purple Team a little bit more in depth, but I want your perspective on this too. They in a world of trouble. And obviously, you get rid of Oscar Pereja. Martin Perelman is the man for the foreseeable future. Part of me, the running gag is I'm wondering if there is a money-back guarantee or if there is a return policy on the contract that Antoine Griezmann has signed. Wondering when he looks at what he's seeing with Orlando, what in the wide world of sports am I getting myself into here? Where is I feel like Ross Geller. Where is Orlando right now? What is going on here?
I will say this. There's a lot going on. But in this last week, because I watched them quite intently, they are figuring out, for the most part, the defensive side. I truly believe this game could have gone either way. I think Houston had the edge, but this could have been a 1-0 win the opposite way for Orlando City. So I try not to get too up, too down with teams, especially if they are showing some improvements defensively. But when they're showing these improvements defensively, it's where are the goals going to come from? Because their shots on target was so minimal that they were in the 18. I think it was 9 times inside the 18 and only got 1 on frame. That's a problem. So the finishing efficiency in and around goal, not the possession, but how dangerous, how much bite do they have around goal is really important, even though they have started to be a little bit harder on the defensive side, to score against. With Griezmann, hey, there's opportunity. I don't think it's like one of those things you look at and go, this is a problem. Yeah. There's opportunity for him to come in and be an absolute hero alongside other players. So I don't think that has much impact, but we'll see.
All right, so let me put your coach's hat on here. And this is probably more between the ears question than anything else this time. And you mentioned for Orlando getting into the 18, but not being dangerous. Mm-hmm. That is something similar to what is going on here in Atlanta. They're getting into the 18 with what Tata Martino wants them to do. They're just not dangerous. And I know that the easy thing is to sit there and say, well, just get dangerous, just shoot, because you never know what's going to happen. When you have a team that is getting that first step done, getting into the 18 and getting ready, to shoot and be a part of the attack, but they're not completing that last action. What are you thinking of to try to sit there and reverse the trend, encourage other things so you can trigger offensive activity inside the 18, getting past that first stage that you're succeeding in, but not doing anything in that second stage? So what are you thinking about here to encourage that second step?
Well, the simple response I'll address first and then, come out a little bit. Yeah. The simple response is your choices technically you make in and around the box. How is your body positioning? Are you getting over the ball? Are you choosing to go for power versus placement, and why? And understanding those things in split-second moments, those things have to be better, especially when you're right in front of goal. The harder question is, if you're getting inside the 18, but it's in the wide spaces of the 18, or it's in the corners of the 18, and all you're doing is blasting a shot because you're so excited to get into the penalty area, that's not going to work. Even Houston and Orlando both did that. They would get so excited and then they would blast it 10 yards over the goal. And that's when you recycle play. Right. And if you're getting into the wide areas, are you driving in line to cut back? Are you bending a ball with pace? I think it's more decision-making than technical execution for a lot of these teams. So it's revisiting those areas and what do we want? Where do we want our runs? It's more than just the technical side, but that piece still has to be addressed.
And as a coach, how driven crazy are you when you just see a team that's excited to be in the 18, just sit there and wind and fire and not think a process through? It's like, take it easy. It's there. It's not going anywhere. You don't have to just go ahead and smash it every time.
Every coach has a different philosophy on this, but For me, I would want players that want to be difference makers. I love the mental side of the game, and it's hard to get someone to want to take chances that doesn't. It's easier to dial someone back that wants to be the goal scorer, that wants to take those chances. So for me, I don't ever want to discourage someone for trying something. But what I do as a coach is say, okay, let's look at this picture now. What do we think? Like, your body position is hanging back. There's 18,000 people in front of you. How do we draw them out to get a better opportunity? So it does drive coaches crazy, but at the same time, you don't want to take that away from someone like a Bogusz, like a Guilherme, those players that they're going to crush shots over the goal, but Guilherme is also going to score some ones you probably think he shouldn't take. So it's a balance between the two.
All right. So you said mental side of the game. I'm going to ask mental side of the game questions to you now.
Let's do it.
Like, you open this door, and this is what I like. It's like literally when you come in, it's like, I know the game that you covered, but this is the traditional amount of questions that I have prepared. So mental side of the game. What is the most underappreciated aspect of the mental side of the game that those of us who just cover it don't necessarily know or understand about the importance of the mental side of the game? What is the most underappreciated aspect that we don't know about?
Wow, that's a great question. You didn't prepare that? That's just came off the top of your head? My goodness. My goodness.
Well, I'm 700 years old, Case. If I can't ask questions on the fly, then I got a problem.
Not quite 700. Give yourself a little bit of credit.
600.
I'll stick at first with the goal scorer's mentality.
Yeah.
The mental side of goal scoring, going through slumps, not scoring goals. Nines, strikers, they are built different. Like, they base so much of their worth on just goal scoring. And so when you're not scoring goals, there's a mental side of the game that is incredibly tough, and how coaches handle goal scorers in slump moments, or how they handle them when their things are going well, not to put too much more on them so they can stay in this flow state of scoring. I think that's a real management piece that's very nuanced. It's not necessarily something people probably don't think about, but it feels like, oh, well, obviously, but it's harder to actually manage when you're in a season or you're in a run of form. Other than that, goalkeeping's another one that's really mental.
I was going to ask, how different are the position groups when it comes to approaching them with the mental side of the game? Because I would imagine the spine might be different than the scorers. The back line might be different from even the keeper and from the folks in front of them. I imagine that you almost have to take it position group by position group and massage the mental aspect with each aspect of the starting 11.
Definitely. Because if you just think about the lines, goalkeeping, back line, midfield, forward, generally, what do they value? Goalkeepers want shutouts. Defenders want shutouts. Midfielders value a lot of things: defensive side, offensive side of the ball. But is it a wide player in the midfield? Is it an attacking midfielder? Is it a defensive midfielder? You could break it down however you want, and forwards value goals. That's about as simplistic as you can put it, but there are some defenders that value shutouts, but they also want to dribble, penetrate, and they want breaking line passes, or they're an outside back that wants to get forward and get crosses off. So a lot of the mental side of the game is all about what you value and did you bring it to that game? And then how do you balance that with team success? And that can be incredibly hard. Goalkeepers, though, have to have short-term memories. I don't know how they do it. I do not know how they do it. They have to just be able to go next, and they're an interesting group of individuals, I will say that, but some of the most mentally strong to be able to bounce back from what they deal with giving up goals, I think.
When you started your coaching career, did you fully understand the importance of the mental aspect in discussing that with your players going in because of your career, or did it take an adjustment from player you to coach you? Oh yeah, I need to bring the mental aspect into my coaching acumen when I'm trying to break things down for the group.
Luckily, it's grown, or I wouldn't have evolved. So I'm happy about that. So when I look back, I probably didn't value it as much as I do now. However, I am a pretty big empathetic pulse type human being in general. So when I came out of my playing career, I knew what I needed as a player. I was a captain of a lot of teams. I knew what my teammates needed. And so from day one, I did try to really be able to meet the players where they were at. But I think it's definitely evolved in how do you get ahead of those things before players even need it? How do you start those conversations so when they get on the field, they feel comfortable to perform?
So how do you get ahead of it?
I think you have to be a predictor of humans and human performance.
And how hard is it? How hard is that for a coach?
It's so hard. It's incredibly hard because you're judged on tactics and results and if the goals go in, if the goals don't go in, all of those types of things. But if you value human performance and you put that as an equal thing that you're thinking about, not just tactics, not just what are we going to do for training today, but you have a whole staff that can value that. Yes, you can have professionals as well. You have sports psychologists that can work with your team. But what I mean by that is understanding, like Emma Hayes was the prime example of this. She pulled a random off day when she first took over the team and had nail technicians come in and get their nails done and do all this like spa day stuff. And it was like right before a game. It was like 3 days before. So as a coach, she knew the pulse of her team and what they needed at that point. That's what I mean of being a predictor of, we've been doing this, but this is more important for my players right now. And so trying to get ahead of those things is really valuable.
And understanding the clutch and the gas and the brake. You know, it's like, okay, look, we've been running these same drills. We kind of know everything as cold as we're going to know it. We need a mental break as much as we may need a physical break. So I'm going to bring in the nail techs and we're going to do, you know, mani-pedis and stuff like that. So no, I mean, and that is real three-dimensional thinking here, especially today when I think we need more three-dimensional thinking than we have in the past, where instead of it's just like, oh, you'll hoof it long and, you know, it's not one-dimensional anymore of result, activity, goal. It's everything that goes into it now.
And you'll never get credit as a coach for it unless it goes well. That's just coaching. So you can do all the tactics in the world. You can do all the mental health days and trainings and all these types of things. And if the results don't come, like people aren't necessarily going to know that you were trying to take care of the player as a human and things like that. So it's something as a coach that you really have to believe in and know that it's the right way to manage teams and when and how to do it. That's why I've always said it. Coaching is hard. It's nuanced. It's timing. It's taking on information from staff and players, and then knowing, well, how do I manage all that information? It's difficult, and I always joke that look at Premier League coaches, like when they get into the league and when they're going to a new team, they have a different color hair. They're gray because it's hard, and there's all these stresses on the decisions you have to make.
What's the next match on your docket?
I have Chicago Sporting KC this weekend in Chicago. So I don't have a Wednesday game. I've got the midweek off, but I go to Chicago on Friday.
Okay, and Sporting Kansas City is in a world of hurt. They're in their world of hurt and like 3 other worlds of hurt right now. They're just not good.
They are really struggling, and it is. I mean, that's an understatement. It's so hard in some ways to watch because there are some very talented players on that team, but like as a whole, they are just not doing well at this point in time. And I think Raphael Wicke is trying different things, different players, different combinations, doing what he can within his control now with the players he has to stay in games. But it's like the games keep coming and you can't solve that fast enough. And so I'm interested to have a conversation with him this week because I did have them a couple weeks ago versus Real Salt Lake. Enjoyed the conversation. I'll be interested to see what differences he brings up in this one.
Yeah, and when a team is struggling, when you have schedule compression, you're just trying to manage the present tense, and you really don't have the time to think about the issues, capital I. You just have to focus on what's going on in front of you. And this is where the physios come into play. And you've got to make sure that, okay, how many minutes can you give me? How many minutes can they give me? I mean, there's so many things when teams are struggling and you're in schedule compression, it's like an entirely different animal.
It is. And both of these teams have no game on Wednesday. So that's good for Sporting KC, especially because they need to assess like what is happening the last week between the Open Cup, between regular season. They need to assess that. And so I think they've probably already spent Sunday, Monday, well, actually Saturday because they played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, assessing what is going on, planning the week, and they have a full week of training to now think about opposition And what are we going to do against Chicago, who's a team that is performing quite well, regardless of the tie this past weekend. I know the feeling of just wanting to get to a certain point in your season. I don't want to presume what Raphael Wicke is feeling, but get to the World Cup break is probably how he feels, because they need time. They need time to be able to figure that out. And it's just not coming with this condensed schedule having the World Cup.
Yeah, and then you've got a back line with a player like Mbawazi, who has just come on like gangbusters. And I would probably venture to say that if you're Rafa Vicky, that you're going to say, if Gutman starts, run it Gutman. Just look, I'm going to line up everybody and just run verts down our attacking right-hand side, run it Andrew Gutman all day long, and then hope that Mbawazi is somewhat distracted. Offensively, it's Kuipers and Zinkernagel and I mean, just Bamba and everybody. They're just coming at you from all angles, and I don't think it could come at a worse time for Sporting right now.
Well, they did just play Vancouver, and it did not go well, but there's a lot of attacking players there. So I would be shocked if we don't see, similar to what Houston and Orlando are trying to do, of just they're not just sitting in. I don't want to say that, because this last week it was very end-to-end, but when they were in their low block, they were very organized and kept play in front of them. I think Sporting Kansas City is going to have to do that and just rely on Joveljic to get a goal. Like, that's how it kind of feels, is like, stay in the game as long as possible, keep play in front of you, be really good on defensive set pieces, be really good on attacking set pieces, and Dayon, please do your thing.
Well,
please.
And then, what you ought to do, maybe, go back to his days at LAG and just bring him in the 65th. Don't start him and just have him come in late, because the Bishop would always come in late and he would get that game tying goal or the game winning goal. Are you going to get any pizza when you're up there?
Oh, I'm going to have to. I'm definitely going to get pizza. I usually get pizza, or I go to like a Nando's, because they have so many Nando's there, and I love Nando's. So that's going to happen. I'm staying an extra day and a half. Actually, my sister and my nephew are coming up. It's my birthday on Monday. So we're staying a little extra. So we'll explore the city a little more after the game's done. They're coming like after the game's over. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. I love Chicago.
And you're turning 29. So, I mean, that's
how did you know? I'm getting closer and closer to 30.
I mean, and that's it's all here when it comes to how we are. So the driver's license might say one thing. Driver's license might say one thing, but for me, like, between the years, I'm like 12 of the brain of a golden retriever.
I see people my age, and I'm like, we're not the same age, are we?
No.
We're not.
No. Mentally, perhaps, but not physically by any stretch of the imagination. Go to Chicago, have a great game and a great call with the master of alliteration, Christian Miles.
Yes.
And enjoy your birthday. And then, so let's see. So if you're staying an extra couple of days, do we need to push you back next week?
We'll see. I don't think so. I think I'm still good for Tuesday. But and I got a lot going on. NWSL next week, plus MLS, plus going to Heather O'Reilly's Hall of Fame induction. We got a lot going on next week, so we can discuss it all.
We'll certainly do that. Stop talking to me and go spend time with Owen.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. There goes Kacey D. There goes Kacey D. And so she's going to go spend time with Owen. And that gets us into the final half hour. GHSA playoffs are coming up today. Red Clay is coming up at noon. And we are going to break down all the brackets for you. We're going to let you know what's going on today and tomorrow. We'll go over start times, go over the rankings, let you know what's going on in the GHSA. Our coverage started yesterday with noon Red Clays. We're not going the full hour, except maybe on Wednesdays, because that's traditionally when we've gone an hour, but it's going to be guest dependent. What we're doing every day that there is a playoff game, Red Clay is going to be live at noon. We're bringing in coaches. We're bringing in coaches in the morning show because, they're still doing the schooling thing. And so if a coach can join us in the lunch hour, great. If a coach has to join us in the morning show, fine. And so this is one of those opportunities where I couldn't grab a coach because they are attached to their school day. And it was an opportunity to catch up on a program that we have not had the chance to really talk about in the Red Clay yet this year. And it was a chance to go down to Forsyth, Georgia, and catch up with the head of the boys' side at Mary Persons, Jacob Haygood. And it was a bunch of different topics. getting ready for the playoffs, understanding their season, like I said, 17-1, coming into the playoffs in one of the tougher classifications, AAA, in one of the tougher regions that they're in Region 2, but also remember that AAA is a power rankings region. So a lot of different topics, great education with us and catching up with Jacob Haygood to find out what's going on at Mary Persons as they get ready for the playoffs. And at the end, you can find out how you can, if you're in Middle Georgia and you don't have anything else going on, you can catch up with them and find out how you can listen to their game with Riverdale in the 24-9 matchup. So here's a bit of a Red Clay preview with Jacob Haygood, the boys' head coach at Mary Persons. And once again, Red Clay Soccer Report presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Here's our catch-up with Jacob, and we'll let you know what's going on the flip side in the rest of the world here when it comes to SDH AM. So if I had told you that at the end of the regular season, you would have the record that you had going into the postseason, what would you have told me?
To be fair, we graduated 10 seniors last year. So I was almost worried that we were going to be a rebuilding year this year. But we had some guys come and step in this year and really filled some holes filled some spots that we graduated last year. So I had talked to a couple people before the season, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be a rebuilding year for you, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we'll probably come out. We'll probably be decent. We got some quality players." But I did not think we were going to be 17-1 at the end of this regular season now.
And I do want to get into introducing your players to the rest of the state here as we go, as you and I are catching up. But when you look back on the regular season, seasons 1 and 2, the non-region and the region, was there a moment in the season where you sat there and went, yeah, I think something's kind of clicking here with everything that had happened, all the graduation, everything? Was there a moment where you kind of sat there and had an aha that, yeah, you might be doing something here?
So a couple guys that played the MLS Next League decided to not play this season. Mm-hmm. So that was a couple players that came in that I wasn't expecting to come in. So when I had 4 players, my goalkeeper, my center back, my center attacking mid, and my striker all played MLS Next. That's the spine of the team. And all 4 of them came in, and all 4 of them obviously were starting now. And those are 4 positions we really needed that I didn't know I was going to have, that I almost lucked into. So after the first game or two, once they started to click with each other, because some of those guys hadn't played in the years past, I was like, dang, we might be something serious here this year.
When you go into a season like this, and I know that not every win is perfect, and I know that not every loss is a 0. And it's like, I know that not every win's 100, not every loss is a 0. That one blemish went to LaGrange back in the tail end of February. What did you learn about yourself in that game that you've applied going forward that helped you out the rest of the year?
So 2 of the 3 goals I thought were very unlucky. I think if we play LaGrange again today, we beat them 70%, 70-30. Mm-hmm. I think we're the more talented team. We didn't play great that day. They had a good free kick. The first goal was a good free kick, bounced off the post, hit my keeper in the back, went in the goal. Oh. Like, okay, come on, boys, let's put it together. It's fine. Let's go do the thing. 20 minutes later, our keeper comes out in a 1v1. He makes a K save, hits him in the calf, falls down. He sits on the ball, and it squirts out the back and goes in the goal for our second goal. So those are 2 goals that I'm just like, how unlucky can we be?
Yeah.
And then the third one, we were down 2-1 with 10 minutes left, and I knew that between us, LaGrange, and Whitewater, those are going to be the top 3 in the region. So I said, let's push the boys forward, because whether we lose by 1 or lose by 4, it doesn't matter. We got to go get a goal. So I pushed everybody forward, and they snuck a goal in the last 2 minutes when we had a corner kick, and I sent literally everybody forward except my goalkeeper. They cleared it out. They countered 2v my goalkeeper, and you know how that ended. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was a 1 good goal, 2 questionable goals, but I mean, luck counts. Napoleon said, "I'd rather have a lucky general than a good one."
Right.
And I think that was a difference maker, and that was the luck that day. But if we play again, I don't think we have those unlucky chances. And we would be much more even in the next round.
When you look at region, and for those that may not necessarily be familiar, half of the classifications, they go with region standings. The other half, they go with math. And I know that I'm fairly certain that you have a set aside mathematician to help you out this entire year to figure out, okay, where you are mathematically when it comes to power rankings and stuff. But in Region 2 AAA, and you mentioned it, it's LaGrange, it's you, and it's Whitewater. And it is 3 teams, double-digit wins. LaGrange wrapped up with 12. You were 17-1. Whitewater was 10-6. How tough is Region 2 AAA just on its own? And then I'll ask about AAA as a follow-up as a class. But how tough is Region 2 AAA for someone who hadn't seen it?
Dang, I wish I literally wrote down our ranks this morning and I left it at school. But the top 3 teams all finished, I believe. I think I still have it pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
Finished, we were power ranked 3. LaGrange was 7 and Whitewater was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of our teams are in the top 15 in the state. All 3 of those are in the same region there.
Yeah.
And then our next one, who was our next one?
That would be Trinity Christian.
Trinity, yeah.
You got Trinity and Troop both at 4-4, and Sandy Creek, who was below 500 in region but was 11-6 overall.
So Sandy and Trinity are both dark horses. Sometimes they're pretty talented. Sometimes they're not as good. I think Trinity was down this year. I thought we played really well against Sandy Creek, and kind of put it to them. But they played well throughout the rest of the season. Sandy Creek did. So out of the, what do you have, 9 teams in our region? Out of the 9 teams, 5 of them could be competitive in any regions, 5 or 6. You could put us in any region and we would be mid-range top team in the region.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at just, when you look at the team rankings in the grid in the AAA bracket, it is Whitewater who is listed at team 16, which to me is nuts. You're at number 9. Then Troop is at 28. Then Sandy Creek is at 20. And who am I missing here? Let's see, Whitewater. It was
Whitewater.
And so Whitewater's in this too. And so you're looking at 5 teams that are, and LaGrange is 6. And the thing is that they stacked 4 of the 5 on the left-hand side of the bracket out of your region that you all got to fight each other to get out of the left-hand side. And LaGrange is kind of sitting over there on the right-hand side, is ranked team number 6. It's like, gee, thanks, math. I mean, thanks for helping us out with the bracket.
Yeah, math didn't work in our favor this year.
How tough is AAA?
I think it's this weird balance of some schools have a lot of talent. Like when you get to 5 and 6A, you just have the population's so big that you're going to have quality players in the population. But in the 2A, 3A area, it really depends on where you're located, how close a club is nearby. Are you having to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to go play travel ball? All those Atlanta 3A schools are good because they got AFC, they got all these different clubs within 20 minutes. And I'm begging my guys to go play at AFC, and they're like, I got to drive an hour. But I'm like, come on, guys. So, I mean, I think at the 3A level, it's a lot about location. Mm-hmm. And it goes, and because the population is so much smaller, it goes through waves where most teams will have 2 or 3 really good years and they'll graduate a big class and have 2 or 3 down years, while you have your teams like Johns Creek and you have your teams like, McIntosh, which are always going to be talented teams regardless of what year it is.
In AAA this season in the top 10, Johnson, Gainesville, Northwest Whitfield, Islands, and Coney County's at 4, West Orange, LaGrange, Chestatee. You're at number 8 in the rankings, and it's Jenkins and Bainbridge wrapping up the top 10, which was released back on Monday. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good balanced representation of where the pockets are in the state, because with what Frank does at Johnson, Gainesville, you look up that direction, it's Johnson and Chestatee, and you're heading up that way. And then there's the Athens group, and then there's the group on the coast, and then what you're doing there in middle Georgia, and then the Western frontier with what's going on at, places like LaGrange and all of that. I think it's one of the more geographically well-rounded regions on the boys' side, at least in the top 10, if that makes any sense.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, like you said, there's a couple pockets where it's like here and here and here and here and there. And if you're between those areas, you do okay sometimes, and you do okay, not so okay next times. But yeah, we're pretty well spread.
When you look at what you were able to do this year, a lot of folks, they'll look at a couple of stats, and you look at obviously your goal difference is at 48, 18 matches, 61 goals. So it's like three and a half goals a game, but you only gave up 13 the entire season, and 3 of those were in the loss to LaGrange. What is it about this defense of yours that's really struck out to you this year?
So we have a kid named Kellen Russo who just signed at Mercer University. So he's a D1 goalkeeper, and he's really solid between the sticks. Like, he makes some saves sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, well, there's a goal. And he's like, bang, no, it's not. And I'm like, oh, well done, Kellen. And then sitting right in front of him, we have another guy, a center back, who's quite possibly one of the best center backs to ever come through our school. Extremely talented player. Mm-hmm. And then our 2 outside backs, they work extremely hard. They're always willing to fight for each other. So, I mean, we play a 3-back most of the time. And we have 2 CDMs that run the middle of the field. They're not necessarily the most physically imposing CDMs. They're both kind of small and skinny, but they're willing to go into challenges. And they have both of them have the engine that they can just run around. I don't know how they do it. They just run. My big old 230-pound self, I run out there for 15 minutes and I'm huffing and puffing. Mm-hmm. These kids will play for 80 and then be like, all right, coach, I'm going to go for a jog. I'm like, no, go home and go to bed. Like, but no, just have, like, the way I have my defense structured is they have to come back to the middle to score. Mm-hmm. Like, you can have the flanks. I don't care. So we just pack the middle of the box. We got 5 guys in a triangle in the middle of the box. Break us down if you dare. So,
what has Study Hall been like getting ready for Riverdale in this 24-9 matchup coming up?
So I got the film on them this morning. I haven't had time to watch it. I plan on doing that this evening.
Okay.
But they look decent. I think they finished 8-6 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But they played some talented teams. So it's not like they just were playing scrubs all season. So, I'm hoping we can go out and get an easy win. Go and, as I like to tell the boys, go out and punch them in the mouth. Mm-hmm. Okay, get 2 or 3 goals early in, and then we can grind or ride through the rest of the game. Because playoffs is a different animal. When you're playing in your region and you're playing your regular season games, it's like, okay, we always have next game to fall back on. Well, in playoffs, you don't have that opportunity. Like, every game has to be your best game from now on. So I'm looking to get it figured out this evening and implement some stuff tomorrow at practice.
Yes, and obviously keeping that under your hat and sitting there, it's like, now I'm not telling Nelson a thing. I'm not going to let him know what's going on. When it comes to the support there in Monroe County and there in Forsyth, how would you break down what the support is like for the program on the whole? Because it's a season where both boys and girls are making postseason inroads. How would you break down the support there in Monroe County?
Like fan base or from the school?
Yes, to answer your question.
Yes. So we have a little student section that comes out to most games, and we fill out a little student section area, and they do a really good job at like bringing the energy. Sometimes during the boys' games, they can get a little bit rowdy, but I'd rather have some energy than just people sitting there doing nothing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we mostly fill up our half of the stands. We have a regular bleacher. I think we have 3 of them on our side and 2 of them on the away side.
Right.
We fill up our side almost every home game. So the support from the community is great. Our booster club is amazing. We have like 6-tupled the size of our booster club in the last 4 years.
Nice.
It went through a phase there where the same, like 3 or 4 people were doing everything. And eventually they was like, look, I'm done and dusted. So 4 years ago when I started coaching at Mary Persons, I restarted the Booster Club and put some people in positions that I knew were going to be successful because they've been successful businessmen and successful businesswomen and stuff like that. And so now we have a huge Booster Club. I think it's at like 40 members now.
Nice.
And we have at least 6 volunteers at every game, 3 in the concession stand, 2 in the press box, and 1 running around doing everything else, just whatever else is needed. So we have at least 6 volunteers at every home game. That's JV, varsity, and CTM included.
Nice.
And from our district, they put a ton of time and energy into the fields. We have, in my mind, we have one of the best soccer fields. It's a natural grass field, one of the best fields in the state of Georgia, because they put a ton of time, energy, and effort into it that I don't have to do as a coach, which I really appreciate. They come in, they top seed it before the season. They water it every day. They make sure it gets cut 3 times a week. They make sure we have any like ants or stuff like that, or there's just like random facility stuff. They make sure when I put a ticket in, they get it done within the next couple of days or 2. So I really appreciate all what the Board of Education puts into the program as well.
When it comes to your roster, when I'm spending time on the American football side during the fall, when I'm spending time at Georgia Public, we Matt Stewart and I, we created basically this idea of make that kid an offer. And it's this concept of, okay, there are student athletes around the state that aren't getting the looks that they think they should be getting, their coaching staffs and their administrations and what have you, or they're just not getting looks, period. With us here at SDH, we have the equivalent where we call it the Georgia call-up, and it's the same premise.
Yeah.
Is there anyone on your roster that is a senior that would fit that, or a rising senior after this season is over, that would fit that moniker that folks need to sit there and put in the spot shadow and go, okay, I heard about this. I heard about this student athlete, and I need to keep an eye on him. With any of them in the call up for you?
So I got a lot of young talent here too. A couple of those MLS Next guys came in; they're sophomores, so that's going to be for next season. But I got a senior striker, Jordan Mullis, who's I think 3 goals away from hitting the all-time record for the school.
Really?
He's at 22 goals this season, I believe.
Okay.
And I think he's got no offers so far. I know at one point he really wanted to play in college. I'm not exactly sure if he still has that motivation right now. But I think if someone came and talked to him and looked at him, he would be willing to give it a try because he's a hard worker. He's one of the captains on the team. 22 goals. I think he has like 13 assists. Puts the work in every day. So he's the player. Obviously, Kellen, our goalkeeper, but he's already signed, so you can't give him another offer. Our center back, Connor Van Tone, like I said, he's probably one of the best center backs to ever come through our school. And he is currently not signed anywhere. I think at the college level, he might not be stocky enough, but he would do great as an outside back. He would do great as your quick CDM. You have a big man and a small man. He would do great at either of those positions. One of the most common collected high school players I've ever seen in my life. Like 3 guys charging down his face. He's like, oh, I'll take a chest trap. I'll pull this ball over here, and I'll find pass out of the back. Like in high school, I would have dumped that thing. Just get this thing away from me. I don't want to be the one to mess up. But no, he just boom, boom, boop, ball out, perfect pass out. And he can also hit a 60-yard long ball into space and make it drop on your striker's foot. I mean, like the kid's unreal. He's really talented. And like I said, I got a couple sophomores, but if you just want juniors and seniors, those are the 3 main ones.
Okay. When you have a question of philosophy or just general thought, do you have anybody on your speed dial that you can sit there and just bounce ideas off of? Who is your Yoda? Do you have Yodas? Do you have buddies that you can sit there and call up immediately if you have like a philosophical question about approach or anything like that?
one of my I worked at I assistant coached at Wesleyan College for a season, and the head coach at the time there, Topper Cogan, I bounce ideas off of him, but he also coaches at Peach County, so I can't bounce too many ideas off of him. Because then he's hearing what I can. But if we're playing common opponents, I can work with him. He was like my mentor a couple years ago. I guess it was 5 years ago now. He taught me a bunch of stuff, and he's a big goalkeeper coach. So I learned a lot of goalkeeper training through him. And then my high school coach, Keith Groper, his son plays on my team now. So I can bounce ideas off of him because Keith played in college, was my high school coach at Mary Persons. So it's fun. It's nice to have my coach, because I learned a lot of what I know as a coach from him because I was playing under him. And then I can now, looking at it from a coaching perspective, I can say, hey, what can I do? What's working here? What can you see from this angle that I can't see from this angle? So it's nice to have that second coach that sits on the sideline or in the stands and can see from a different angle.
And that's one of the things that I notice about Mary Persons that you mention it, and it applies to other sports there as well, is that history is there. And the legacies and the other coaches and the understandings about it and being there and being entrenched in the idea of Mary Persons athletics. It's not somebody that's going to be there as like a, one or two and then they're out, but there are legacies there that continue the run. I think that's really an interesting aspect that you bring up there when it comes to soccer at Mary Persons now too.
Yeah, I think Groper coached for, I think there was a guy for 2 years before him, and he was there for like 11. And then we've had a couple coaches after him. I think 3 coaches after him. And then I stepped up. This is my second year with the boys now. But yeah, I mean, Monroe County Schools is such a nice school district that once you get in, you don't want to leave. And it's got a small town feel, being, a small 3A town. But if you want to go do something, it's only 20 minutes to Macon. You can go do something in Macon, Georgia. Or if you really want to do something, it's only 45 minutes to an hour to Atlanta. So it's got the small town feel, but within a short time, you can get to, a movie theater or a bowling alley, or if you want to go, to Atlanta and eat fogo de chao, you can go up there and do that. So I think once people settle in for Scythe, they realize this is a really nice area to be in and nice area to raise our kids.
All right. So last question, hit the promo for me. And for folks that want to go see this 24-9 matchup on the 22nd, where are they going? What are they doing?
You mean where can you see the game?
Where can you go? Where can you walk in the door and sit and watch this?
So it's going to be streamed on NFHS.
Right.
It'll be there, of course, but you have to have your membership to NFHS.
Right.
There is going to be, we have a local guy that does the radio. He does radio for a couple. What's the name of the app? Golly. Does radio for a couple of the sports and activities.
Okay.
I'm trying to find his app on my phone and I can't find it.
Well, and then what if they want to walk in the door and sit and watch? Where are they going?
So it's Monroe County Middle School. We're actually behind the middle school.
Okay.
Do you want the address of the middle school?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Monroe County Middle. That's good.
Monroe County Middle.
Yeah.
It'll be behind Monroe County Middle School.
Okay.
I'm parking the big parking lot behind the school. It's fairly easy. You should be able to see the light poles from the road. You pull in behind the middle school, park there, and come in and watch us. It'll be on GoFan. Tickets on GoFan. So come see us.
What time's kickoff?
6:30 kickoff.
Okay, so it's a 6:30 kick in the 24-9 Riverdale and Mary Persons. Upper left as you fill out your brackets in pen. Jacob, it's good to see you, and you've had a great season so far. That's why I knocked on your door, and I wanted to see what was going on and what's the secret. So I needed to get all the intel as your upper left in the AAA bracket. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I found the app. It's called Sports Mic.
Oh, okay.
Sports Mic Radio.
I know those dudes.
Yeah.
So it's the Sports Mic folks, and I will probably just sit there and I'll ring them up and sit there and go, hey, you guys got talked about on SDH.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty good guys. They have come and they do a couple of they do like Houston County games. They do some for Monroe County games. They go up and do some whatever county is north of us. I forgot.
I think Lamar. I think Barnes.
Yeah,
Barnes.
they do some of them as well.
Yeah, so
they bounce around.
Yes,
but they're from Forsyth, so they come and do a lot of, like, they just did the baseball game I guess it was Friday. So you can listen.
And that's our friend Jacob Haygood, head coach at Mary Persons on the boys' side. And so very, very busy time for high school, and the playoffs start today. Our playoffs start Thursday, doubleheader at Ola, Cambridge and Ola, 6 and 8. That'll be on the network. And Drew, Jason, and I will be there in various forms and fashions. And that'll be our start of our playoff coverage across the network. And it'll be an opportunity for us to sit there and bust it all out for you. But Red Clay during the playoffs is live at noon. We're not going to be doing the entire hour every day, but it'll be kind of guest dependent and scores dependent and all that kind of stuff. And so today we'll go over your opening round brackets. We'll go over all of your opening round material and get you ready for day one. Tomorrow, it looks like, in SDH AM, Mike Petit, the head coach at Callaway for the boys and the girls, he's going to bat leadoff with us, and he's going to join us at 9:10. Then it is going to be in Red Clay, Chad Griffin, the head coach at Hebron Christian. He's going to join us, and it looks like Daniel Cornejo from Dodge County is going to be joining us as well in Red Clay. And so that'll be Red Clay tomorrow and part of SDH AM. So we're going to go wall-to-wall high school, no surprise, but Mike Petit from Callaway is going to join us batting leadoff in SDH AM, and we got two coaches joining us tomorrow in Red Clay, which is going to be a noon kickoff on the network. So, and David mentioning Fox Brewery, I've seen the bulletin boards, and it was it's good to see that the independent breweries are making their way into towns like Forsyth. So Forsyth. So very, very cool there as well. All right. Before we get out of here and come back at noon for Red Clay, it is gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. And we'll see if there's anything else going on that we need to kind of keep an eye on. So let's see. So here's where we go traditionally for what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And that link is important because it helps them, it helps us, and it helps you, adding more matches to everything that you're already watching. Fanatis, you get all the BNs, and I mean all the BNs, which means you get AFCON, you get CAF, you get CAF Champions League, you get Polish League, French League, and Turkish League. You also get Coupe de France, you get all of that. You get Libertadores, Sudamericana. You get TVV out of Venezuela. If you want, CDO out of Chile is there as well, and you get a lot of the activity. You get the LPF, you get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, all the A and B divisions for a lot of the countries in South America added to your stacks, ties to Tigo Sports, and ties to CATV. So, yeah, just adds a bunch of stuff in Central and South America to what you might already have. Today, FS2 French Cup, Lens and Toulouse is at 3. The midweek makeups kind of start today in the Premier League, 3 o'clock, Brighton and Chelsea. Chelsea snapped a 4-game losing streak last time out with a win on the weekend. Fox Deportes is simulcasting the French Cup match. It is midweek madness in Liga MX with doubleheader 9 and 11. Querétaro, Cruz Azul, and Monterrey and Puebla is on TUDN. Universo is simulcasting the Premier League. La Liga has 4 matches on the Plus, 2 at 1 o'clock, 1 at 3, and Real Madrid at 3:30. USL Championship tonight, Brooklyn and Sacramento is at 7 o'clock from Maimonides Park. Fox ONE has Brazilian Cup and French Cup, Paramount Plus, busy day in the championship, including all of the squished up folks at the top. Coventry City there in the door. What does their lineup look like as Portsmouth comes to town at 2:45? Leicester City fighting relegation, playing Hull. If they lose to Hull, I think they're relegated down to League One. Oxford United, Wrexham. Wrexham needs the win to keep the beat. Southampton, Bristol City. That one's also at 2:45. You've also got Scottish Championship, Dunfermline, St. Johnstone, and the Italian Cup of Inter and Como. That is what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it by our friends at Fanatis, eventz.co/soccer down here. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, all the things, what you need to know before we get out of here. And also before we get out of here, once again, just a reminder, if you're not reading Morning Espresso, you're starting your morning without the full picture. I have it actually as part of my backup materials in case I miss something. Jason and SDH puts it out every day, shows up in your inbox, traditionally 8 or so. And if it's a weekend, it's still there. Then also after AST on Tuesday nights, Wednesday's a little later because the whole sleep thing, but it shows up in your inbox. It gives you everything you need to know. Jason has started adding musical interests and some op-ed off the top as well. So free, lands in your inbox. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You log on. There's a box that's right there in the read section. You go bang, and there's a box where you can sign up with the newsletter right there. Like I said, I signed up for it, and like I said, it's my backup. I do have things that I want to look at every day, but at the same time, if I'm missing any kind of notes or anything like that, traditionally Jason will have those notes, and it's like I said, it's a good backup for me. Also, in soccer, once again, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Who might be going where? Might be doing what? Bonucci on the vacancy in Italy says that Pep is the right man for the job. I don't know about that. Would he want to at this point? That's the biggest thing. Rodri is out for the matchup against Burnley with a groin injury. And so, once again, they're massive favorites. No surprise. But the biggest thing for them is to take care of business and do it against Burnley in the midweek before heading into the weekend and starting their real run in to try to win the title at the end of it all. Also, it is Manchester United adding Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni to their short list of options to replace Casemiro in the summer, according to the Telegraph. Could be allowed to leave the Bernabeu alongside Camavinga. Club looking to seal a midfielder signing of their own in the form of Rodri, but the France international has a contract until 28, could command a fee of upwards of 60 million euro. Arsenal chasing after Nico Williams, wants to return to action for Athletic Club after a lengthy absence due to a groin injury. Team Talk claims the Spanish international has admirers at the Emirates, and including sporting director Andrea Berta. Barca continue to be linked with Williams, but their priorities lie elsewhere, potentially opening an opportunity for the Gunners to move first. Liverpool have approved the signing of Jan Diomande from Leipzig as the top option to replace Mo Salah when he departs on a free, according to Florian Plettenberg. 19-year-old has only been playing at the top level since November 24. Impressed in the Bundesliga, continues to be linked with a switch to Anfield. PSG are also in the race to sign him. Leipzig looking for a fee of around 80 million euro. Newcastle opening to letting Anthony Gordon leave this summer, but only if a club is willing to match their £75 million transfer valuation, according to the Times. Bundesliga champs Bayern Munich have been linked. Gordon also getting interest from Liverpool and Arsenal. John Stones set to be the next high-profile exit from Manchester City when his contract comes to an end, according to Fabrizio Romano. 10 years with the club since joining from Everton in 2016. Set to join Bernardo Silva and becoming a free agent. He's only made 15 appearances in all comps this year, struggling with injury issues. Nico Jackson, once again, 3-letter paper, warming to the idea of returning to Chelsea as a permanent move to Bayern after his loan spell ends appears unlikely. Fabrizio Romano again, Ajax and Schalke in the race to sign Rangers midfielder Bailey Rice as a free agent this summer. Barcelona want to extend Robert Lewandowski's contract until 27 on reduced wages. Chicago Fire and the league we don't talk about waiting an opening to make a move. That's from Florian Plettenberg. Also from Plettenberg, defender Ibrahima Konate on the verge of extending his deal with Liverpool. Alexis could be allowed to leave this summer as part of a major squad overhaul, according to Football Insider. Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool have had positive negotiations with Dominic Soboslai on a new deal. Work still needs to be done to secure a full agreement over a renewal. AS, Real Madrid interested in AZ Alkmaar midfielder Kees Smit, 20, as an option with his contract expiring in 28. Barcelona are looking at Real Betis's Abde Ezzalzouli and Benfica's Andreas Schelderup as alternatives to Manchester United loanee Marcus Rashford in the forward areas, and that comes from our friends at AS. Really quickly buzzing through the papers, seeing if I've missed anything one way or the other. Once again, remember, Brighton and Chelsea is kicking off at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock today, as once again, we will have stuff in the midweek in the Prem and kind of setting up the table for the final 4 matches. After this weekend, because it's a hybrid, you've got action going on in the midweek. You've got not everybody playing on the weekend, but you've got FA Cup on the weekend. So it's kind of all over the place. Liam Rosenior says the Chelsea hierarchy is 100% behind me, probably until he starts losing, even more than he currently has been. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that is out there in the ether. An FA-sponsored study, according to our friends at the Times, at Loughborough University, Loughborough University, FA-sponsored study at Loughborough finds energy transfer of some balls has been 55 times greater than others in research that may offer insights into brain health. It's from Matt Lawton at the Times. Scientists at Loughborough believe footballs could be designed to significantly reduce the impact of heading. After a study found the energy transfer of some 50 balls was 55 times greater than others that have been used in the professional game. Led by Loughborough Sports Technology Institute and the philanthropically funded by the FA, they looked at ball head impacts between a range of footballs used over the past century. Repetitive headers through a player's career, according to Lawton, have already been linked to an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases later in life. Deaths of a number of ex-players, Nobby Stiles, Jeff Assel, Gordon McQueen, caused by brain injuries, which coroners have linked to repeated heading of footballs. But until now, research, according to Lawton, has been targeted on the full head movements that can cause concussion rather than the previously unreported pressure wave energy transfer to the brain that occurs at the precise moment the ball strikes the head. Loughborough is not detailing the results of the different balls made by different brands. It concludes differences in design and material used can have a significant impact on the level of that energy transfer. Andy Harland, professor of sports technology at Loughborough, told the Times it would be wrong to assume that the old-fashioned leather balls produce consistently higher results than more modern footballs. Indeed, they found that in balls being used in the modern game, some produced higher energy transfers than others. The FA has shared the research findings with FIFA and UEFA. So that is early word from the Times on a study at Loughborough. So I'm keeping an eye on that as that study continues to work its way forward. Trying to see if there's any other news that I might be missing. I think I'm going to check one more source, and I think we'll be okay. Because, so Sky is reporting Arne Slot is expected to continue next season at Liverpool. So that has come out this morning. And obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. And I wonder if that is in fact the case, how much of a leash is he going to have heading into the 26-27 season? So that has come out this morning, literally right here as we're breaking things down. And so let's see, it's Spurs and relegation and happy to be here and Marco Rosa. And I think we got everything. All right. So once again, top of the hour, it'll be Red Clay, and Red Clay will get you ready for day number 1. And we'll let you know what's going on in and around the high school game. Tomorrow, here's the deal. Mike Petit, the head coach at Callaway Boys and Girls, joining us batting leadoff. In the show, we are also going to have our UPSL update. Hopefully, Dylan Butler can join us at 10 o'clock. Miguel Gallardo joining us from Central Florida, joining us at 10:30. Red Clay tomorrow looks like it's going to be Chad Griffin from Hebron Christian, Daniel Cornejo from Dodge County, as we get ready for play day number 2 of the playoffs tomorrow on Red Clay. We're going to set everything up today, let you know what's going on, who's playing today, and then we'll get you moving with everything else that's going on in and around the playoffs. We'll break it all down for you coming up in a little less than 50 minutes. Big thanks to KCD, and big thanks to Owen for making all the noise in the background. And also thanks to Atlanta United for having Javier Perez come and join us for about 10 minutes to break down everything in methodology, give an update there. And also thanks to Jacob Haygood at Mary Persons for giving us the backgrounder on a 17-1 team heading into the postseason as a 9 seed in the power rankings in AAA. Got a home game, 24-9, and that is we'll get into that and get all the brackets once again kicking off at noon Eastern. So for all of you, thanks as always. Let me say hi to everybody who dove in here this morning just to kind of break things down. So it is, making Parky sad, of course. Morning, Dell. Morning, David. Wednesday to tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Games in the midweek, Rhode Island and Charleston in Pawtucket. And Dell's saying both Rodri and Ruben Diaz are out. So let's see. David, Dell, Abby. Let's see. Wiley, good morning. Yeah, and the John Texter update. Dude's out to bankrupt a bunch of financially uninformed peeps with his withholding comment the other day. Yeah, that too. And I'm trying to, and David, thank you for that. I'm just trying to let everybody know what's going on because it's important in the grand scheme of things. Very, very complimentary. Dealing with Texter so much on the show, John sounds more fluent in financial terms than the Secretary of the Treasury. I'm just trying to let you know what's going on because it's important in the grand scheme of things. It's important for Atlanta United because right now they're out $20 million plus accumulating interest. And it's to the point now where if you're not going to get it back, then do you get players? It's like you're to that point. It's like, fine, we'll take $20 million worth of players and we'll call it a day. Might be to that point. But yeah, Botafogo 3-window transfer ban added yesterday for not paying players and agents 7 figures. Like literally right there at 7 figures, like $1.3 million. You owe Atlanta United $20 million plus. And so it's just important to understand how soccer works. And that's why I keep referencing the Paul Quinn work over at the ESK, because he's gotten into Aries management, and Michel Kang trying to make sure that John Texter has no more say in places like Lyon, considering that Aries management gave 3 tranches of roughly $500 million to John Texter, and it looks like he pretty much used it quick just to kind of keep things moving. But Aries management, you need to know about. Aries management, seriously. Underline, exclamated, italicized, boldface, what have you. You got to know. And so anytime they pop up with as many places that they have an interest, it's important to know how the ownership game works and where private equity comes into play. So anytime Texter, yes, it's like a bad penny, but I think it's important in the grand scheme of things to get these updates so you know where he's coming from, and hopefully that no one ever does business with him ever again. Except that apparently now in Belgian courts, RWDM Brussels is trying to sue, saying that the fact that they were relegated, even though they didn't finish last, is taking preferential treatment on the U23s that aren't supposed to be relegated. Because if you're out of League Two, or if you're out of the second division in Belgium, basically you're like just beer league. And so RWDM is trying to fight that characterization, saying that they should not have been relegated because they didn't finish last in its preferential treatment to U23s. Well, that's the bylaws. Bylaws want to make sure that the U23s stay competitive and are integral to the pyramid and to the growth of those teams that have first teams and U23s. RWDM knew the rules going in. Texter should have read, or an Eagle should have read the fine print. If they didn't read the fine print, that's on them. I don't see this going any further. But once again, what you do when you are doing something in a court of law, you're kicking the can down the road and you're buying time, which is part of his MO. You kick the can down the road. Hey, I'll take you to court. You kick the can, and you try to let the clock run. Yeah, Lokeville, I don't know if he's ever going to, and that's why we need to keep talking about him. Lokeville says dude needs to fix his books. I don't think they're fixable. And so everybody needs to know about it. Think of this as like the sunshine law of soccer sports talk. Morning, Abby. And let's see, morning, David. And David talking about the NHL, and Abby and everything in Columbus. And I think that's it for the morning. So, all right, we're coming back here at noon. We're going to break down everything in the high school game. And Red Clay Live is going to be a Red Clay Tuesday. And since it is the end of the show, Mucha Platiel, play it safe, catch your breath. Come back and join us for lunch. We'll break down the brackets for day number 1 in the GHSA Red Clay Soccer Report presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, coming up at noon Eastern. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Thanks to everybody who came in this morning. Javier, Jacob, Casey D, and y'all. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. See you in 43 minutes. Bye.